Hey everybody, RJ Padua of Fit Body Boot Camp, Winnipeg here. Sorry it's a little loud. Andrew is going nuts out here on the workout floor, but we wouldn't want to have it any other way. So today I'm going to talk to you about our 6-week supplement cycle, which is found when you go do your search. If you guys aren't already in the Fit Body Boot Camp Winnipeg Fit Family group, you need to get in on this group because this is how we effectively communicate with you. If you're listening to this, then you probably are in that group. So, from a laptop, it's a lot easier to get to these things. If you're on mobile, you just got to find a pinned post, and this is the one that I have saved at the top. This is where you're going to find your meal plans, and below that, you're also going to see a link here that's going to bring you to a Google Doc. That's our 6-week cycle supplement plan, and you will need a Gmail account in order to open up these documents, which is free. So if you don't have one, go ahead and sign up for one. Now here's the price. We don't currently have multivitamin, but I put it in there because multivitamins are also important to fill the gaps in case you're missing a certain vitamin or mineral from your food. But if you're following one of our meal plans, it's a pretty complete meal plan, so you won't necessarily need to take it. Now here's the breakdown here, and I'm going to go through this. It's a 6-week cycle. I'm going to break down each of the most important ones throughout the weeks here, but I'm just going to run through this quickly so you can see. Week 1, you got first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, and you want to take these because that's when your blood sugars are the lowest, and that's when your body is going to start to burn fat as fuel, especially if you haven't eaten for 8 hours or more. I'm going to go through what lipotropics are, what the torch are, but I just want to scroll through this quickly so you can see how it changes every week to week. Now, the thing about when you take any of these supplements is that you don't want to be taking the same supplement consistently for a long period of time. And I know a lot of people are taking either some type of fat burner or a pre-workout or whatever it may be, but the problem is it's just like everything else. As soon as your body gets used to it, then you're going to start needing more to get that same effect. You're literally chasing the dragon, so you only want to be on a supplement for a max of around 4 to 6 week cycle, and then you want to go completely off. So if you scroll down to week 6, you're going to go into the 1 serving of Pump Freak, and I'm going to break that down. We're going to start with that first. So what Pump Freak is they call it a pre-workout. I like Pump Freak because of the fact that it doesn't contain caffeine, and most fat burners or pre-workouts are just super jacked up with caffeine, whereas if you're taking 1 scoop, it's equivalent to almost 3 cups of coffee, and that is ridiculous. That's just way too much. I like the Pump Freak because it's got citrulline in it. It's got a few other vasodilators in there, which is first going to help you to lower your lactic acid levels, meaning that it's going to let you work out at a higher volume and a higher pace because your lactic acid levels are going to be low. And it also increases the amount of blood to the working muscles, so it's going to make your muscles be able to get more blood and oxygen, so you're going to be able to push out more volume, meaning that you're going to be able to lift more and to lift longer. And that you would take on week 6. So week 1, we're going to start with L-carnitine. I'm going to do a little drawing for you. So this here in green is your fat cell, big fat cell. Now in the fat cell, it actually gets divided into, it depends on how high your body fat is. Let's say you're about 50% body fat. So in that fat cell itself, you're going to have one thing called mitochondria. So I'll put the mitochondria in, right? And the more mitochondria, that means the more in shape you are, the more it's going to demand of the fat cells. Now in the fat cells themselves, they're like little globules like this, right? And the longer the fat's been sitting in there and the more it's been accumulating, the bigger these actual fat globules become over time. Now, what L-carnitine does is it actually works to open up this doorway. Naturally, you have a doorway. But if you see what happens here with the fat cells, the fat cells cannot be released through that doorway, and so they're constantly being stuck there. What L-carnitine does is it actually opens up this doorway. So it opens up this doorway so that when you actually start working out, let's do a different color here. Let's go with green. All right, so when you start working out, your heart rate goes up. And what it does is it increases the amount of heat. And so the heat goes into the fat cell, into the mitochondria. And then what happens is the mitochondria ask the fat cells for energy. So it goes from the fat cell, fat globule to the mitochondria, and it gets released into your system and it's used as fuel. Now, even if your doorway is big, you can see how some of these fat cells get super big, okay? And so what happens is, even with that doorway nice and wide from the L-carnitine, you need to be able to break down the fat cells into smaller particles. So what lipotropics do is they actually go in there and they zap away parts of the fat cell, right? So eventually you just have a bunch of small particles. And so when you have these small particles as fat, and opposed to these big globules of fat, then it makes it easier for the mitochondria to utilize this fuel, the fat as fuel, and also it goes through this door a lot easier. And so that's what happens when you combine lipotropics and L-carnitine. Now, there's another supplement out there which increases your heart rate. So this number here, which increases your heart rate, and that's ephedra. Now, ephedra, you know, it's been looked on in the past as, you know, a negative thing. And the reason why is because a lot of people were taking these and they never had a restriction on how much ephedra milligrams can be put in a tablet at one point. I remember taking ephedra tablets back in the early 2000s when they were 200 milligrams per tablet. Now the most you can get is 8 milligrams. That's not true. And that is way too high. And so what was happening was people were taking these ephedra. Sorry, Tundi's going nuts now. So people were taking these ephedra and it was causing them heart problems. Well, yeah, if you're sitting around and you're taking 600 milligrams of ephedra, then what's happening is your heart is working overtime, and if you're not working out, then you're definitely destined to get, you know, heart failure or heart problems. So we sell ephedra in a smaller dose where the tablets are only 8 milligrams, and the most I ever really recommend is 2. So what it does is it's going to increase the amount of heat in your body as a thermoregulator. And then what's going to happen is it's going to demand more from your heart rate, it's going to demand more from the mitochondria, and it's going to pull more fat cells out of you. So that there, you have your ephedra, you have your L-carnitine, and you have your lipotropics. Now, the other supplement that we have in here, let's see if I can go back here. The other supplement that we have here is Torch. Now, Torch is a great supplement because it contains a lot of things that I've been looking for and a lot of other supplements that I really liked, but I try not to take too many pills at once, right? You know, if I can take one pill that contains everything, that's great. So I'm looking at the ingredients right now, and it has Garcinia cambogia, which is amazing. You know, Dr. Oz is a big fan of Garcinia cambogia. You know, two of the main things that it does for you is it helps to block fat from absorbing blood sugars. B, it's a natural mood elevator, and C, it actually works. I'll have to come back to it. But inside this Torch, well, has a green tea extract, which is also it also helps you to burn fat as fuel, and again, it helps block fat from absorbing blood sugars. And it's got green coffee bean and cayenne pepper, which are both thermoregulators, which means that it's going to increase the amount of heat again. So it's going to increase the amount of heat that your body's constantly. So it's going to turn up the furnace a little bit more in your body. And some people actually notice, because I have it laid out for you, that you're going to take it first thing in the morning, that, you know, you're going to, you know, maybe potentially sweat a little bit more throughout the day. So those are the 3 main supplements that I got in there. So we got the lipotropics, we got the L-carnitine, the 4th one we got is the pump, and the ephedra. So if you guys need to get a hold of these supplements, I would recommend that if you are doing a 6-week challenge to try this in complement with everything else that you're doing to really maximize the results that you're going to get. And we will see you at the gym.